I don't remember the words first. I remember the sound. That deadbolt sliding into place like a final sentence. 1 second I'm standing in the doorway with my school bag still on my shoulder, rain screaming against the porch light. And the next my dad's hand is on my arm, tight. Too tight. Like he's not holding his daughter. Like he's restraining a threat. Out, he says. Not yelling. Not crying. Just flat. That calm is what scares me most. Dad, wait. What are you doing? My voice cracks halfway through, and I hate that it sounds small. He shoves something into my chest. A wad of cash. Damp and crumpled like it's been clenched for hours. Then he holds up a pill bottle like it's a trophy. You think I'm blind, Maria Hawthorne? His jaw jumps. You think I don't see what you've become? My brain scrambles for the shape of an answer. 'Cause none of it makes sense. The money isn't mine. The bottle isn't mine. My throat is tight like it's closing. I swear I didn't. Don't lie to me. He points past me into the house. I found it in your room. And behind him, half hidden in the warm hallway light, is Tessa, my sister. Her arms folded. Her face twisted into this perfect worried look. Like she's heartbroken for me. Like she's terrified. But her eyes, they don't match. Her eyes flick to mine for half a second and I catch it. Flash. Not fear. Not pain. Something colder. Like got you. Please. I say because I'm not proud and I'm not brave in that moment. I'm just 15 and I can feel my whole life tipping. Let me get my phone. My coat. Just give me a minute. Dad shakes his head once. Final. You should have thought about that before you started stealing from this family. Stealing. The word hits like a slap. My ears ring. My stomach drops. I look at Tessa again, searching her face like I can pull the truth out of it with my eyes. She doesn't help. She just stands there, letting it happen. My stepmom, Brandy, hovers by the kitchen like she's watching a show she didn't pay for but still wants to finish. He says nothing. Not one word. Dad pushes me forward. The cold air bites instantly. Rain spits against my cheeks. And it's so loud outside that the house feels like it's already miles away. I stumble onto the porch. He doesn't follow. He doesn't hesitate. The door slams. The deadbolt slides. And I just stand there, staring at the wood like it might open if I stare hard enough. Then I realize something slow and sick. Nobody is coming back for me. So I start walking, into the storm, into the dark, until my legs stop listening. And the last thing I see before the world tilts and goes black, is a pair of headlights slowing down like they were looking for me on purpose. I wake up choking on air that tastes like chemicals. Not rain. Not cold. This is hospital air. That clean but not clean smell. Like bleach trying to cover fear. My eyes flutter open and everything is too bright. White ceiling. White walls. White sheets. My head feels heavy like somebody filled it with wet sand. I try to move and my whole body complains. Easy, a voice says. Female. Blows. Don't fight your body. It already fought enough. I turn my head and see her sitting beside the bed like she belongs there. Silver hair pulled back tight. A navy coat folded neatly on her lap. Hands that look steady. Like they've held pressure on wounds before. Like they've signed forms and made hard calls. She notices me looking. You're awake, she says. Good. I was starting to take it personally. My throat is dry. My voice comes out like gravel. Who are you? She leans forward just slightly. Nora Ellis. I was the one who stopped. I stare at her, trying to attach meaning to the name. Nothing. But my chest aches anyway because she stopped. She didn't have to. Why? I whisper. Why would you stop? Nora doesn't answer like it's a cute question. She answers like it's obvious. Because I've seen kids left outside like garbage, she says. And I promised myself I'd never drive past that again. I swallow hard. My eyes burn and I hate that I'm about to cry in front of a stranger. She reaches into her coat pocket and pulls out something crinkly and silver. That blanket, she says, reading my face. Yeah, it's hideous. But it kept you warm long enough. You were blue when I found you, Maria Hawthorne. Hearing my name from her mouth makes my stomach twist. How do you know my? The EMTs asked. She cuts in gently. I listened. There's a knock at the door before I can breathe through it. A woman walks in holding a clipboard. Not a doctor. No scrubs. Just a cardigan and tired eyes. Behind her, a police officer. I'm Carla, the woman says, voice soft but firm. Child Protective Services. My heart drops straight into my ribs. Yes, please. My dad. My mind goes blank. Then it starts racing. What if he's downstairs telling them I'm lying? What if Tessa already painted me as the problem? What if they believe him? Carla pulls a chair closer. Maria Hawthorne, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. I nod because that's all I can do. She asks, why were you in the storm tonight? The words come out messy, broken, but true. Cash, pills, the yelling, a door, the deadbolt. Carla's face changes halfway through. Not shocked, not surprised, angry. Nora's jaw tightens too, like she's holding back something sharp. Then the officer's radio crackles. He steps into the hall. His posture stiffens. And I hear it. A voice outside the room. Loud, furious, familiar. I want to see my daughter right now. My whole body goes cold. Carla stands up slowly and says, almost to herself, okay. So he showed up. Nora rises beside her like she's been waiting for this moment. And right before the door swings open, Nora leans close to me and whispers low and fast, whatever you do, Maria Hawthorne, do not let your sister speak for you. The door swings open so hard it smacks the wall. And there he is, my dad, breathing like he's been running, except it's not panic in his face. It's anger. Pure. Like I'm the problem he's here to fix. I want to see my daughter, he snaps, stepping in like he owns the room. Then he freezes. Because I'm not alone. Carla is standing there with her clipboard. A police officer beside her. And Nora, calm as stone, right at my bed like a guard who doesn't need a weapon. Dad's eyes flick over them, then land on me. For a second I swear I see it. Crack in the rage. Confusion. Like he didn't expect me to look small, bruised, real. Then Tessa steps in behind him. Soft cardigan. Hair neat. That same worried face already loaded and ready. Maria Hawthorne, she whispers like she's saying a prayer. And right away she moves closer, like she's trying to get between me and the truth. I hear Nora's warning in my head, sharp as a blade. Do not let your sister speak for you. Dad points at the bed like I'm evidence. Tell them what you did. Tell them you're sorry. My throat tightens. Dad, I didn't. Tessa cuts in immediately. She's confused, she says, voice trembling perfectly. She's been stressed and she's not herself lately. I stare at her. 'Cause it's insane. It's actually insane watching someone write your life while you're still living it. Carla's voice stays calm. Tessa, I'm not asking you. Tessa blinks, just once, like she's offended someone dared to interrupt her performance. Dad steps forward again. There was cash in her room. Pills. I'm trying to protect this family. Nora finally speaks, quiet but deadly. Protecting her would have meant bringing her inside. Dad turns, startled. And who are you? Someone who stopped, Nora says. Someone who didn't leave her on the road. That hits my dad in a weird place. His mouth opens, then closes. Carla looks at him. Sir, did you physically remove Maria Hawthorne from the house? She walked out, he lies too fast. My chest burns. No, I say, voice shaking, but I say it anyway. You grabbed my arm. You pushed me out. You locked the door. Dad's face hardens. Maria Hawthorne, don't do this. Tessa's eyes flash at me. A warning. A threat dressed up as concern. And then the officer steps forward and says, Sir, we need to ask you about an ATM withdrawal made today at 2:41 p.m. My dad goes still. Tessa's breath catches. And in that tiny silence, I realize something terrifying. This isn't just about me getting blamed. This is about someone getting caught. Tessa's hand twitches at the number. Not her face. Not her voice. Her hand. Like her body heard the truth before her mouth could react. 2:41 p.m. The officer repeats, calm like he's reading the weather. ATM withdrawal. $900. Same day you say the money went missing. My dad scoffs like the whole thing is stupid. So what? I withdrew cash earlier. That proves nothing. The officer nods slowly. Except it wasn't you. The bank flagged the transaction because the card was used by someone else. Silence drops in the room like a heavy blanket. Dad turns toward Tessa without meaning to. Subtle. But I see it. His instincts already know where to look. Tessa forces a laugh. Too late. Too quick. That's ridiculous. Who else would have his card? Nora's voice cuts in low. That's a great question. Carla steps closer to the bed, and for the first time, her tone isn't soft. It's protective. Sharp around the edges. Maria Hawthorne, she says. Where were you at 2:41 today? My brain stutters. Have to think. My head still aches. The day feels like it happened to someone else. School, I say. Chemistry. Third period. Then I swallow and add because it matters. We had a quiz. Dad points at me like I'm still the problem. She could be lying. I'm not. I snap, and my voice surprises even me. It comes out with this rough anger I've been holding for years. I was there. Ask my teacher. Tessa steps forward, eyes shiny, voice sweet. Maria Hawthorne, please. Don't make this worse. You're overwhelmed. You don't remember everything. Carla cuts her off instantly. Tessa, stop speaking for her. That lands like a slap. Tessa's expression flickers. Just for a second. And there it is. That cold thing again. That flash in her eyes that says, I don't like when you interrupt my control. Dad's voice drops, dangerous. So what are you implying? That Tessa took my card. Nora doesn't flinch. I'm implying that you should have checked before you threw your child into a storm. Brandy finally speaks from the back of the room. Quiet and stiff. Gordon, maybe we should go. Dad ignores her. Carla pulls out her phone. Her thumb taps twice. Then she turns the screen toward the officer. Bank security video came through, she says. My stomach flips. Because I can tell by the way Dad's face changes, before the screen even turns toward him. Whatever is on that video is going to break something. Carla angles the phone. And I see my sister's ponytail. My sister's jacket. My sister's face. Standing at the ATM at exactly 2:41 p.m. Dad stares at it like it's a ghost. And Tessa's voice comes out in a whisper I've never heard before. That's not what it looks like. My dad didn't look at me first. He looked at Tessa. Like his brain couldn't accept the idea that the person he'd been worshipping for years was capable of that. And Tessa, for the first time in my life, didn't know what face to wear. She tried. Oh, she tried. Her lips parted. Her eyes shimmered. She reached for her, I'm the victim too voice. But the video was still on Carla's phone, paused on a frame where my sister's face was clear as daylight. No blur. No maybe. Just her. Dad, she says softly, as if softness can erase footage. You know I wouldn't. Then explain it, Carla cuts in. Cold. Because right now it looks like you used his card, withdrew cash, and then that cash magically became proof in Maria Hawthorne's room. Dad's throat works like he's trying to swallow something sharp. Tessa. He starts, and his voice is smaller than I've ever heard it. Why were you at the ATM? Tessa's eyes flicker. Yes. And then she lands on me. Like I'm still her scapegoat. Like this still has to be my fault somehow. I was trying to help, she blurts. He asked me to. He forgets things. He's been stressed. That's not what you said earlier, the officer says, not unkind, just factual. You said no one else would have his card. Tessa's cheeks flush. I didn't mean. Stop. Dad raises his voice and it cracks. Stop talking in circles. Did you take my card without asking? Tessa opens her mouth, then closes it. And that silence is louder than any confession. Brandy shifts at the back of the room like she wants to disappear into the wall. Gordon, please. Nora doesn't move. She just watches, like she's collecting every lie for later. Carla turns to my dad. Sir, regardless of what happened with the money, you removed a minor from your home in severe weather. That's abandonment. I didn't abandon her, he snaps, desperate now. She's out of control. She's stealing. I'm right here, I say, and my voice is shaking, but I don't care. Look at me. I'm right here. You didn't even ask me. You didn't even check. Dad's eyes finally land on mine. And for 1 second I think he sees it. Not a problem. Not a liar. Just his kid. But then he looks away like guilt burns. Carla nods once like she's made up her mind. Maria Hawthorne is not returning to that home tonight. Dad steps forward. No. She's my daughter. And she's a child, Carla says, sharper now. A child you threw outside. The officer shifts too, just slightly, and that tiny movement tells me everything. The room has chosen a side. My side. I should feel relieved. Instead, my chest tightens. Because if I'm not going back, then where am I going? Carla turns to me gently. Do you have someone safe you can stay with? A relative. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. I think of my grandma, Evelyn, who lives 40 minutes away. The one person who always smelled like tea and patience. The one person Tessa always rolled her eyes about. I have a grandma, I whisper. Evelyn Hart. Carla nods. Okay. We're calling her. Dad's face twists. No, this is family business. We'll handle it. Nora finally speaks again, quiet and brutal. You already handled it. You handled it with a deadbolt. Carla steps out into the hallway to make the call. The officer follows. And for the first time I'm left in the room with my dad, my stepmom, and Tessa. Tessa takes one slow step closer to my bed. Her voice drops so low it's almost sweet. You just had to ruin everything, didn't you? My skin goes cold. 'Cause that doesn't sound like fear. That sounds like a threat. And right then, right as I'm trying to figure out what everything even means, I see her phone light up in her hand. A name flashes across the screen. Dylan. And Tessa answers in a whisper, turning slightly away. But not enough. I hear 2 words before she notices me watching. Plans broken. The first thing my grandma did when she opened the door wasn't ask questions. It wasn't gasp. It wasn't cry. She just stared at me, soaking wet, shaking, still in hospital socks, and pulled me into her arms like she'd been holding that hug in reserve for years. Come inside, baby, she whispered. You're safe here. And the second I crossed her threshold, something in my chest cracked open. Her house smelled like black tea and laundry detergent. Warm. Real. No spotlight. No performance. Just quiet safety. Grandma Evelyn Hart moved fast, like love with a plan. She sat me on the couch. Wrapped me in a thick blanket. Set a mug in my hands even though my fingers were barely working. Drink, she said. Then breathe. Then we talk. I wanted to tell her everything right away. I wanted to unload it like a backpack full of bricks. But the truth is, my body didn't trust calm. My body kept waiting for the next slam. The next accusation. The next deadbolt. That night I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling and listened to rain tap against the window, wondering if the sound would always make me flinch. Around 2 a.m. my phone. Carla had given me a temporary one. Buzzed in my hand. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Maria Hawthorne. My dad's voice. Careful. Like he was walking on glass. We need to talk. I went cold. I pictured him in that hallway light. The way he looked at me like I was already guilty. I can't, I said. We can fix this, he said quickly, and I heard something in the background. Tessa's voice muffled, guiding him. Feeding him lines. Hung up. 5 seconds later, A text popped up from a number I did recognize. Elsa, you're making this so much worse. Call me. My stomach turned. Grandma came in quietly, like she'd sensed the shift in the air. She didn't ask what happened. She just sat beside me and took my phone gently out of my hand. No midnight negotiations, she said. Not with people who put you in a storm. The next morning, Carla came by with a folder so thick it looked like it could break someone's nose. She sat at Grandma's dining table, spread papers out, and looked at me like I was a person, not a case. Maria Hawthorne, she said, I need you to understand something. I swallowed. Okay. She slid one paper forward. Your mom left you a trust. My heart jolted. Oh, what? A trust fund, Carla said. Not huge, but enough that someone might see it as worth fighting for. Grandma's jaw tightened so hard I heard her teeth click. Carla kept going, voice steady. And there's a clause. If a guardian can convince a court you're unfit or incapable, they can petition to manage it on your behalf. My mouth went dry. I suddenly remembered the cash. Pills. The way Tessa's eyes looked when Dad locked the door. Like she wasn't just punishing me. Like she was positioning. Carla slid another paper across the table. Court document. Damp. And right there at the top, in bold letters that made my vision blur, it said, Emergency petition for guardianship. Filed by Tessa Hawthorne. Carla looked at me, quiet but firm. They didn't just try to kick you out, she said. They tried to erase your credibility. Then she flipped to the last page. And I saw the date. It was filed the morning after my dad deadbolted the door. Which meant one thing and one thing only. This was never an accident. This was a plan. The envelope hit the porch like a slap. Not mailed. Not dropped off. Handed to me. A man in a stiff jacket stood at my grandma's front steps, rain beating on his clipboard like little cold dots of judgment. Maria Hawthorne, he asked. My stomach tightened. I hated hearing my full name out loud. Felt like I was in trouble just for existing. That's me, I said anyway. He handed it over. You've been served. Grandma Evelyn appeared beside me so fast I didn't even hear her footsteps. Served for what? The man didn't care. They never do. Court hearing. Custody and guardianship. And then he was gone, leaving that paper in my hands like it weighed 50 pounds. I looked down. Emergency petition for guardianship. Filed by Tessa Hawthorne. I swear my heart stopped for a second. Because it wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was official. Damp. Legal. My sister wasn't whispering in the kitchen now. She was trying to take ownership of my life with a signature. Grandma snatched the pages, scanning them with the calm fury of a woman who has survived men like my father and girls like my sister. Oh, sweetheart, she murmured, and the way she said it made my throat burn. She planned this. Carla showed up an hour later with a second folder and a face that said she hadn't slept either. I'm sorry, she said, taking the papers from Grandma. But this helps us. It shows intent. Intent to do what? Asked, voice shaking. Make me look crazy. Carla nodded once. To discredit you. To control the trust. To control the story. That's when I realized something ugly. This whole thing wasn't about my dad being disappointed. It was about my sister needing me to be the villain. Because villains don't get believed. Carla pulled out her phone and slid it across the table to me. A screenshot of another video still. Elsa. At a convenience store counter. Buying something small. A prepaid phone, Carla said. The same number that sent those dealer texts. It was purchased 3 days before the money appeared in your room. My hands went cold. So she staged everything. Yes, Carla said softly. And there's more. She flipped open her folder, and I saw printed bank statements. Not just the ATM withdrawal. Multiple withdrawals. Small transfers. Over months. Then Carla looked me straight in the eyes and said the sentence that made my chest go hollow. Dylan Cross is tied to these accounts too. Dylan. The name I'd seen on Tessa's phone in the hospital. Carla's voice dropped. We're going to subpoena records. We're going to pull pharmacy reports. We're going to look at cameras. All of it. Grandma squeezed my shoulder. You're not alone, Maria Hawthorne. I tried to breathe. Tried. And then my phone buzzed in my hand. New message. Unknown number. Just 6 words spaced like a warning. If you show up in court, don't. I read the text again. And again. Like the words might change if I stared hard enough. If you show up in court, don't. No emoji. No name. No explanation. Just pressure. A warning wrapped in silence. My hand started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. And the worst part. My brain didn't even ask who sent it at first. Because deep down I already knew. This wasn't my dad. My dad does threats out loud. He does them with anger and volume and slammed doors. This was Tessa. This was the girl who could smile in public and stab you in private. Grandma Evelyn took the phone from my hand and read the message once. Her face didn't change much, just her eyes. They sharpened. "Oh," she said quietly. "So they're scared." "I'm scared," I admitted. And I hated the way my voice cracked like I was still that kid on the porch. What if they do something? What if they make everyone believe I'm lying again? Grandma set the phone down like it was dirty. "Listen to me, Maria Hawthorne. The truth doesn't need you to be loud. It needs you to be consistent." Carla leaned forward across the table, elbows on the folder. "We can trace it," she said. "Not always directly, but enough to show a pattern. And we're documenting everything." I swallowed. "So what do I do right now?" Carla didn't hesitate. "You keep living here. You don't go anywhere alone. And you don't respond to texts from unknown numbers. Not even to say, stop." Grandma nodded. "And we get you a lawyer. Today." By noon, we were sitting across from a man named Harvey Klein in a small office that smelled like coffee and paper cuts. He looked like someone who'd spent his whole life watching people try to weaponize family. He read the petition. He read Carla's notes. He read the hospital report. Then he looked at me and said, "They're trying to paint you as unstable. So we do the opposite." I blinked. "How?" "You show up," he said simply. "You speak clearly. You let the records speak louder than your fear." My stomach rolled. What if my dad lies again? Harvey's mouth tightened. Then he lies under oath. And that's a different kind of stupid. On the drive home, Grandma's phone rang. She answered on speaker. Carla's voice came through, clipped, urgent. "Evelyn, Maria Hawthorne, listen. We just pulled pharmacy records." My chest tightened. "What about them?" Carla exhaled hard. "The pills that were found in your room. They were prescribed to someone named Dylan Cross." Grandma's hands clenched the steering wheel. "And," Carla added, "we found a security camera near the pharmacy. We're trying to get the footage now." "But Maria Hawthorne." My throat went dry. "But what?" Carla paused, and when she spoke again her voice dropped lower. "Someone matching Tessa's description was seen entering your dad's house the same morning you were kicked out. And she wasn't alone." I felt my heartbeat slam into my ribs. "Who was with her?" I whispered. Carla's answer came out like a match struck in the dark. "Dylan." The first time I heard a judge say my name, my knees almost gave out. Not because I was guilty. Because I'd spent so long being treated like I was, that standing in a courtroom felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting for the world to push me again. 12 minutes, Harvey whispered beside me. "Breathe. Shoulders down. Eyes up." My hands were ice cold. Grandma Evelyn squeezed them once. Firm, steady. The kind of squeeze that says, "I'm here. You're not alone. They don't get to swallow you." Across the room, Tessa sat at the other table like she was still the sun. Hair perfect. Tears ready. Dylan wasn't there. He'd already been picked up on an unrelated charge, and suddenly his loyalty to Tessa had a price. My dad sat behind her, hunched and smaller than I'd ever seen him. Like the deadbolt had aged him 10 years overnight. And then, it started. Tessa spoke first. Course she did. She stood up and put on that voice. Cheeky. Concerned. Your Honor, I love my sister. I'm only trying to help her. She's unstable and... Stop, the judge said. One word. And Tessa's whole performance stuttered. The judge, Renee Caldwell, looked over her glasses and asked, calm as steel, do you have evidence? Or do you have opinions dressed up as concern? Harvey stood. We have evidence. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't get dramatic. He just laid it out like bricks. The ATM footage. Timestamp. 2:41 p.m. My school attendance records and the teacher's sign statement. The convenience store video of Tessa buying the prepaid phone. The pharmacy records tying the pills to Dylan Cross. Then Carla spoke about the petition being filed the morning after I was thrown out. And Nora stood up and said quietly, I found Maria Hawthorne unconscious in the storm. This wasn't a teenager running away. This was a child left outside. My dad tried to interrupt. I didn't mean for. The judge turned to him. You meant to lock a door on a minor. The weather did the rest. I felt something crack in my chest. Not pain this time. Something closer to relief. Like the truth was finally being allowed to exist in public air. Then Dylan's statement was read. Not poetic. Not dramatic. Just blunt. The plan, the setup, the trust, the timing. Tessa's face went pale in a way makeup couldn't fix. For the first time, she looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Like she'd expected me to fold. And I didn't. When it was my turn, Harvey asked gently. Maria Hawthorne, tell the court what happened that night. So I did. I didn't decorate it. I didn't beg. I didn't perform. I just told the truth. My dad threw me out, I said. And my sister watched. And nobody checked. Nobody asked. They just decided I was the kind of person who deserved it. The courtroom went quiet. Judge Caldwell looked straight at me and said, You did not deserve it. And then she did what no one in that house ever did. She held them accountable. The petition was denied. Protective order was issued. My trust was secured under my grandmother's oversight until I turned 18. Restitution was ordered. Tessa's perfect image cracked right down the center, and for once there was no quick fix, no pretty lie big enough to cover it. Outside the courthouse, my dad tried to step toward me. Maria Hawthorne, he said, voice wrecked. I'm sorry. I looked at him and realized something terrifyingly simple. Sorry doesn't rewind a deadbolt. Sorry doesn't warm a kid in the rain. But sorry can still be the moment I stop carrying the weight. I'm not here to punish you, I told him. I'm here to protect me. He flinched like that hurt, and maybe it did. But truth hurts people who benefited from silence. That night, back at Grandma Evelyn's, I sat on the porch with a warm cup of tea. It was raining again, soft this time, not violent. And for the first time the sound didn't feel like a threat. Felt like weather. Just weather. I won't pretend everything healed overnight. Didn't. Had nightmares. I had therapy. I had days where my body remembered before my mind did. But here's what changed. I stopped thinking survival was something to be ashamed of. If you've ever been cast as the problem in someone else's story, hear me, clear as I can say it. You don't have to stay in a place where love is conditional. You don't have to keep proving your innocence to people committed to misunderstanding you. And you are not too much for wanting basic protection. Sometimes the storm isn't the end. Sometimes it's the doorway. And you walk through it. And you build a life that nobody can lock you out of again. Thanks for listening. If this story hit home, please subscribe. And if you've been through something like this, drop your story in the comments. Your voice deserves to be heard.